And we're live.
We are live. It is a Feel Good Friday. Billy W. Merritt presents Feel Good Friday with me. I'm Paul Sullivan. And in the studio, it's, hey, my buddy Smith. I'm the producer behind the scenes. Still haven't gotten a camera for you. What's the deal? What's the holdup?
I am here. I forgot to mute my phone.
Hey, would you mute your phone? Come on. Can we be a little bit professional here? Well, I am regretfully wearing my Cubs gear today. The Cubs are on a 6-game losing streak. They have not been playing well at all. They were in first place, if you remember, last week when we did the show in first place, but now they've fallen out of first place, 6.5 games out of first now, behind the Milwaukee Brewers. So, you know what that means, Sean. The Cubs are on a 6-game losing streak. That means it's time for a beer. So let's talk about the beer recommendation of the week. My beer recommendation. Now, most of you, if you watched the show before, you know that I'm a big Sam Adams guy. And Sam Adams, typically when they make the variety packs, they always put their like flagship beer, if you want to call it that, the Sam Adams Boston Lager in the packages. Well, over the past, 3-4 years, some of the customers have been, well, we'll just say a little chippy. They've been a little chippy about that, saying, we want 4 new beers. We don't want the same beer. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, Sam Adams, they listened to their customers, and now they have 4, brand new, if you will, or, not brand new, but seasonal beers. So today, Beach Session IPA. Now it's got a pink label, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, guys. It doesn't, it doesn't taste sweet. It's not a girly drink or anything like that. Now it is lighter, perfect for the pool. So again, I'll mention Billy and April, assuming that April were to drink. But Billy, we know. So Billy, you can check out Beach Session IPA. Now, Smith, if you're sitting by the pool, what's your drink of choice? What's your favorite beverage if you're sitting by the pool?
Sitting by the pool. That's a hard one. Honestly, I'm probably going to go with a girly drink. I know people always make fun of this, but I love a good strawberry daiquiri.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. They're mighty tasty. And if you get it made right, they're the thing about those kind of sweeter drinks or fruity drinks or girly drinks or whatever you want to call them, is that you actually don't want a lot of alcohol in them.
Yeah.
Because it ruins the taste. If you're drinking it for the taste, if you put way too much alcohol in it, it gets overwhelming. You lose kind of that crisp, fresh, sweet, whatever, your flavor of choice is. So you're right. If they're made correctly, they're made with plenty of alcohol, but not overdone.
You know what though? If I can change my answer real quick, I don't see these anymore, but one of those blueberry pomegranate crunk juices.
Crunk.
Have you ever seen
Smith getting crunk?
It's I believe it was literally like a Little John branded energy drink, and they were really good. They had ashwagandha and the goat weed in them. They were so tasty though.
Smith getting crunk by the pool.
Got it.
Well, you know that I'm a beer guy, so obviously, I'm not against a mixed drink here and there, but I'm definitely a beer guy. So again, this one, Beach Session IPA, it's perfect by the pool. Or hey, Terry Gibson, Terry Gibson. He says now we're talking. He must be talking about your strawberry daiquiri. I'm telling you, Terry, try this on your boat. All right, Terry's down in Florida. He's got himself a boat, and try that. I'm telling you, this is a really good beer. And I'm not an IPA fan. I'll be very honest. I don't really like the hoppy, the bitterness of hops, but this is pretty good. It's crisp, it's clean. It's not overwhelmingly bitter like a lot of the hoppier beers are. So Beach Session IPA. By the way, you cannot get this in a 6-pack. You can only get it in the variety pack. The Beers of Summer, Sam Adams Beers of Summer. Hey, good morning to Javerna Moreland. Good morning to Robert Brooker, and good morning to my mom, Mary Sullivan Moore, who's always like she's my biggest fan. She's always first one on the podcast. So good morning, Mom. Happy Friday. Hey, listen, I want to talk about what I did last night. And Smith, you're going to love this topic. Okay. All right. What I did last night was here in Douglas, Georgia, which is not, we are not a metropolis by any stretch of the imagination. But people are always complaining about there's nothing to do. All right. Last night, there was something to do. Man, what a show. Live music. First time I've been to a live concert since January of 2020. It's been that long. So, a year and a half, basically. But JJ Gray and Mofro, they were the band that played last night at the Martin Center in downtown Douglas. Now, be honest with me, Smith. Have you ever heard of JJ Gray and Mofro?
Afraid not.
Okay. Now, and here's the deal. just a few years ago, I had never heard of them either. Now they've been around for probably 15 years, something like that, somewhere in there. But I had never heard of them. But just a couple years ago, when I was, introduced to them, they actually played at the barbecue festival here in Douglas a couple years ago, and I got a chance to see their show. Well, I was still in radio. I was doing a live remote on location, so I missed the first part of the show. So I saw about half of it, about half the show, and I was impressed then, but I only got to see half the show. So last night was my first time seeing their full show, and I have to admit, they were very, very impressive, and they've changed their show dramatically since the 3 years ago that I saw them. Here's why. 3 years ago when I saw them, now it could have been because this last night it was indoors, with air conditioning. 3 years ago it was outside, summer, it's hot, South Georgia. So maybe they were dressed differently 3 years ago, but they didn't, how you see just like you and your buddies want to jam, everybody just kind of gets together. You're just wearing whatever you wear. Yeah. So you don't really look like a band. You just look like a couple buddies jamming, that type of thing. That's what they looked like 3 years ago. Last night, oh man, they were wearing the suits. I mean, they were looking sharp. I mean, looking like a true professional band. And JJ Gray, by the way, he has a very unique voice. It's kind of raspy. It perfect for like blues, but he can sing. He can sing gospel, jazz, pop, rock, country. He's got the he's got the accent. He's originally he's from down in Florida. And so he has that. He doesn't have the transplant Florida accent. He has the true Florida accent, like northern Florida. So he kind of has, it sounds like he's from Georgia, to be honest. He has that southern accent. But man, I'm telling you what a phenomenal show. I mean, it was spectacular. And a lot of people who say there's nothing to do in Douglas, Georgia, if they don't come out for stuff like this, then it's hard to bring stuff like this back. So when you go to see a show, Smith, what is what's one of the things that you absolutely appreciate about going to a show, a live show?
I'd say more than anything, just the energy. I know that's a big abstract thing, but just feeding off the energy. Getting different vibes from different bands. If there are multiple bands there, and getting energy off the crowd. I don't know. There's something you almost always take home with you from that, and especially if you're someone who's really into doing creative things, it always sparks you back up.
Dude, you should have gone to that show last night. I'm serious. What a phenomenal! You would have absolutely appreciated it. Now let's see. I didn't count them, so I have to remember now. All right, so they have the drummer, they have the keyboard / piano. There were two sets of piano and keyboards, like the two sets. Eric Brigman, by the way, is the keyboardist, a piano player, whatever you want to call him, and he's originally from Douglas, Georgia. So very cool. So the local connection. He was spectacular. But anyway, so let me count them. There's drums, keyboards, there was bass, 2 guitar players, 2 horn players. That was man. I mean, when do you see a live band with horns?
That's cool.
So 7, and then JJ, of course. So an 8-man crew, I guess it was 8 people on stage. So you talk about a show. It was a legitimate show. I mean, they sounded fantastic. Put on a great show. JJ, by the way, JJ Gray is not he's not flashy, if you know what I mean. Like he's not. He's not doing cartwheels and stuff, on stage, but boy, does he know how to work a crowd. And when I say that, I mean that in a good way. He's an absolute entertainer. He knew when to, they'll like, hey, they want people to clap or sing or hoot and holler, all that kind of stuff. And he'll do people do that. He did that, just a few times. And then this is one of my pet peeves when I go to a concert and the singer wants the audience to do all the singing. That annoys the crap out of me. Like, when they're like, it's like, you pay to see money for them to sing and they're like, and they hold the microphone out like this the whole time. And you're like, come on, man. You sing, I don't want to hear the audience screaming and yelling and all that kind of stuff. Now, so what he did was he set it up, how he'll say, I'll sing this and then you say that, so you do that where the audience participates. So he did that a couple of times. But just a great showman. And again, the entire band, just fantastic. The horn players were spectacular, and that adds so much to a show. So go check out JJ Gray and Mofro. Well, that's going to swing us right into the classic rock revisit. And again, I realize that a lot of people may not be familiar with JJ Gray and Mofro. So all this time that I pick on Smith, about picking bands that nobody knows. So what do? I pick a band that a lot of people don't know. But like I said, they've been around for a long time. And I want you to discover them just like I did just a few years ago. The album that I want you to check out is called Brighter Days. JJ Grey and Mofro. And I know it's a funny name. It's an odd name. It's a weird name. But I'm telling you, it'll be worth the listen. Now, this album, Brighter Days, it was released 10 years ago in 2011. And it's a live album. And now I have to admit, I'm not typically a huge fan of live albums. There's a few that stick out. But when you think about all the live albums that have been released, and there might be a dozen that people are like, wow, that's a really good album. So, I mean, of the however many that have been released, not very many of them are very good. Either the sound quality is not really there. The vocals aren't, what you would thought they would be because you're used to hearing them on the record, things like that. It's just the mix, you know what I'm talking about when I say like the muddy mix.
Absolutely.
It's not crisp, things like that. This album has all the stuff that you want. I mean, it's crystal clear, perfect mix. Vocals are spot on. You can hear all the instruments. They really did a great job. So check out JJ Grey and Mofro's Brighter Days. And the title track, by the way, Brighter Days, they close the show with Brighter Days. And it's a great song. I mean, it really is. It's uplifting. It's a great song. It's like an 8.5 minute version, I think it is, on that album. But it's well worth it. And then the other one that JJ Grey is from a town in Florida, a small, tiny town called Lochloosa. You ever heard of it, Smith?
I have not.
Okay. I had never heard of it either. I had to look it up. So Lochloosa is a tiny town down in Florida. It's between Gainesville and Ocala. So, you got two, cities that most people have heard of at least, and they're kind of in the middle of nowhere, basically, in between those two cities. So he sings a song called Lochloosa. Now, when they released Lochloosa on their album, years before that, it was a 4-minute song. Pretty typical. 3.5, 4 minutes. With rock songs, you might get a 5-6 minute one every so often, stuff like that. But that's pretty much the norm. Between 3.5 and 6 minutes, that's pretty much the norm. Well, the live version of Lochloosa is 11.5. And it is awesome. I mean, it is a spectacular tune. Now he does some, he talks a little bit in it. That's why it's 11.5. But it's a really, really, really good song. The live version is spectacular. And if you are, I'm not from the South, that. I'm sporting my Chicago Cubs gear. I'm a Yankee boy, damn Yankee, moved down South, won't leave. They try to make me leave. I won't. Things like that. But I absolutely could. I was influenced or I was moved by this song. It's a song that sings about kind of the small, land out in the middle of nowhere, away from the crowds, away from the cities, things like that. Talks about what it's like to have, swamps and land and, in the country and things like that. But let me tell you, you don't have to be from the country to appreciate that song. So do me a favor, if you're watching, check out JJ Grey. Brighter Days is the album, and check out Brighter Days, the title track, and check out Lochloosa. Those are longer tunes, but man, are they some really good stuff. And again, the beauty of it is they played last night. They played country music. John Anderson, Seminole Wind. They do a cover of that, which was really good. When you add the horns in, just spectacular. So it had some country flavor in it. They have a song called Country Ghetto, which is, Smith, you got to check that song out. That is like Smith's life. That is Smith's life right there.
Oh, my goodness.
Talks about being out, like, kind of in the woods and, with not so much money and, pretty simple life and all that kind of stuff, but called Country Ghetto. So that's a really good song.
It sounds like it will be a Yellow Wolf song.
It could be, it wouldn't surprise me if they covered it and they pulled it off. But Country Ghetto and so that's kind of a country song. There's a song called Hoe Cake, HO space CAKE. Do you know what a hoe cake is, Smith?
No.
Okay, now I didn't know what a hoe cake was when I moved here, but it's kind of, somebody help me out. Give me the real definition. Somebody who's from the South, give me the real definition of what a hoe cake is. I know it's like you take, I want to say it's like, I think it's cornmeal. I think it is, but it's like cornmeal and spices or something, and they fry it up like in a pan. I think it is. But it's called hoe cake, but it's a Southern thing. I mean, it's absolutely, no, it's not a ho-ho. Ho-hos are Yankee. Ho-hos were my mom's favorite when I was a kid. Those are made by Hostess. That's a snack. That's a little snack cake. That's not a hoe cake. Those are, what's that thing that looks like a pancake that you just had pulled it up? Is that a hoe cake? There was a picture.
I changed the spelling. Maybe that'll
Okay.
fix it.
HO space CAKE.
Okay, so no E.
Yeah, no E.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a garden tool that you spelled.
It's coming up spelled that way, but maybe these are there. Hoe cakes.
Well, regardless,
Yeah.
hoe cake is a Southern thing. It's kind of, food that you make when you don't have a lot of money, and it's kind of a Southern. I don't even want to say delicacy, but it's something that Southern people. Robert Brooker, by the way, says, "I don't know, but it sounds expensive."
Good one.
It's supposed to be cheap food, by the way, Robert. So the hoe cake, but there's a song called Hoe Cake that is absolute country. That's full blown country music. But then they had there's a couple tunes that were very bluesy. So again, Lackalusa could be considered a country song, but it really has a lot of blues influence, in it. So really cool. And Smith, I know you would appreciate this one too. If you can find it online. This is not on the album that I'm talking about, but they played it last night. They do a very slowed down, it's a little bit stretched out. It was probably 5 minutes version of Jimi Hendrix's Hey Joe.
Oh yeah.
Which was awesome. I mean, it was just it's like I said, it was much more bluesy, just a great tune. So, but anyway, the show was phenomenal. Again, they played jazz, they played country, they played rock. Probably the rocking-ist song, if you will, was 99 Shades of Crazy. That's a tune they released a couple years ago. That's pretty straightforward. It sounds like rock, but just a great band. And the reason I'm talking so much about it is that I was so excited to hear live music again. I mean, it's been so long with COVID and, the shutdowns and people, not playing. So, I mean, all these bands that, canceled their tours and things like that. So it was really, really, really enjoyable to go out, hear live music. And Smith, I know you and I've talked about this, off air before, that there's just something different. You can play a record. You can watch a video on YouTube. It's not the same as when you go to a show.
This is something I heard the other day, and it, as well as what you were saying earlier about the brass, it kind of makes me regret that I've only really ever seen like the 4 and 5 piece bands. I heard someone saying in a video that there's nothing that's really the same as seeing a big band live, because you're getting hit by all this air, like as the band is playing, like you feel the dynamics.
Right.
And that's obviously totally different than just listening to it on a record.
Well, and the other thing that they did well, their sound guy, their lighting guy, everything was orchestrated. I don't want to say to perfection. I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect show. There's going to be something that goes awry, that maybe, in fact, sometimes those are they're happy mistakes, when things don't go the way you wanted and things like that. But they had the timing with all the lights behind them, like the horns would go bat, bat, and like the lights would choo choo, would go in sync with the music and stuff like that. And they gave every guy, all the different musicians, who again, every one of them was spectacular. They gave them all a small spotlight. And that's what I like. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of the 10-minute drum solo.
Right.
I'm just not. I mean, impress me in 2 minutes and I'm like, hey, that guy's really good. But really, why do you need to drag it out, to make a drum solo 10 minutes? To me, it's just like, okay, they're filling so that the singer can go, take a number 2 or, or whatever, or get something to drink, he's got some woman behind, whatever it is, that they stretch it out to give them kind of a break, if you will. But to me, from the audience perspective, it's really not that fun, to have a 10-minute drum solo. But they gave each guy, I won't say even a solo, I'll say a spotlight. They gave each guy the chance to spotlight their talents. The 2 different horn players, they gave each guy their own spotlight where they got a chance to play. And it was just really cool. So again, applause for JJ Gray and Mofro last night. And also a special thanks to, I know I'm going to forget a few people. So if I forget your names, I apologize, but I'll say the Martin Center, that they called it the Martin Center Preservation Society now. The Martin Center is an old theater here in Douglas. I don't remember when it was built. I want to say it was in the 40s, 30s or 40s. You can look it up, 30s or 40s, but it's been a while. And they've tried to, revamp it. They tried to clean it up, tried to update it a little bit without ruining kind of, what it's all about. It's like 600 and some seats. I think it might be 650, but it's just a little over 600 seats, if I remember right. And so they have the upstairs, the balcony, the downstairs, on the floor. And sound quality, I mean, the first few shows I have to admit, when I first moved here, the first few things that I went to go see at the Martin Center was god awful. I mean, the sound was just crap. I mean, it was just really bad, and I can appreciate the old theaters. I like, kind of the history, if you will, so I can appreciate that. But when you go in there, if the theater doesn't have good sound, it sucks. I mean, the show is bad. But so they've improved the sound. They got a whole new sound system. Lighting is all different. They just recently did that. So again, thanks to all the people. And again, I don't know who's all in that, but the Martin Center Preservation Society, thanks to all you guys for doing such a great job on improving the theater. Brian Norris, I want to point him out. He's one of the guys who really kind of spearheads all these great shows and brings music to our town. I know, William Minkema, he's involved with the theater. In fact, I think he may be the actual guy who runs the whole thing. But again, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that I don't know, but the Martin Center Preservation Society, thanks to William Minkema, thanks to Brian Norris, thanks to all those people that brought live music to Douglas, Georgia. Really just a phenomenal show. So that leads me to, when you go to a show, when you go to a small town, when you go to a show in a small town, a lot of times you might get a stripped down show. You don't get the full blown set. They play a shorter set. It's kind of like we have a theme park near us called Wild Adventures. When you go see a show at Wild Adventures, they're always shorter. The shows are always shorter than if you go see them at a regular arena. So, sometimes you feel like, well, it's better. It was close, so that's good. But you kind of feel like you get ripped off a little bit, because you're not getting the full set, and things like that. Well, last night he played 2 hours. I mean, full set. Wow. I mean, really, really good stuff. So no rip off. Also, don't want to miss out. I want to mention Melody Trucks. The Melody Trucks band was the opener. And I mean, I'd heard of Melody Trucks, but I had never seen her. And to be honest, I'd only heard like 1 or 2 of her songs. So I was not familiar with her at all. Really, much at all. But her band, I think she had seven people in her band. And she plays like these huge, like these 2 big, I don't know, I guess they're bongos, those like long drums, the really long ones.
Yeah.
She had 2 of those set up. She plays those in the middle of the stage. Then she, again, bass players and drummers and, just, the whole gamut. So they were a really good opener. So they played about 45 minutes. So you got, 2 hours and 45 minutes worth of music, and, in your hometown. So you didn't have to drive. I mean, I know some people don't live in Douglas. So, from the outer areas, all right, maybe you drove, 20 minutes, a half an hour, maybe something like that. But it really made it easy. I mean, it was very convenient to go see some live music. The theater was pretty full. It wasn't jammed. I mean, it wasn't, now I know that they said that the show was sold out. So they sold the tickets, but then what happens is you get people, I mean, it was a Thursday night. So, I mean, it happens, some people just flat out forget. They forget. Oh man, it was last night. Crap. I forgot all about it. Blah, blah, blah. They do that. Some people, by the time it's showtime, the day of the show, they change their mind. They don't really feel like going. People get sick. People got to work overtime, whatever. I mean, all those different reasons. I won't even say excuses. Different reasons, why people don't make it to the show. But it was, a good crowd. I mean, a lot of people showed up, so I was happy to see that. But I wanted to kind of get on this subject a little bit too. When they bring stuff to town, and it doesn't even have to be Douglas. When they bring stuff to towns and people don't show up, then it's really hard to bring stuff back. And how many times, I mean, Smith, you were born and raised in this town, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what's been, in your opinion, what's been one of the biggest things that Douglas, Georgia has ever had in their town?
Biggest things? I mean, I guess the carnivals are probably the first things that come to mind, but even those, we have those once or twice a year.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the carnivals, do you go?
Sometimes.
All right. So if the carnival's been here, no, let's see, you're in your late 20s, you said. So I'll give you, obviously you don't have a choice until you're 18. So I'll give you that.
Right.
You know, I mean, I know you know, once you get a driver's license, you could go, but I'm going to give you 2 years. So let's just say in 10 years, in the 10 years that you had the opportunity to go to the carnival, how many times did you go?
I'd probably say 8 or 9.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
And on top of that, though, I was gonna say, a lot of those times I went and got a funnel cake and left.
It's all about the funnel cake. That's Smith just goes, he's like, I don't care about the carnival. Just bring that little truck that makes the funnel cakes and I'm there. So, if there's I know that the food trucks are a big thing. So if somebody's out there and they have a food truck that has funnel cakes, just pull up to the parking lot here and Smith will get one every day. But no, actually that surprises me. I really expect you to say like once or twice, because that's what most people in our town do. I mean, they'll go once or twice out of 10, of things that come along. And to be quite honest, it's just not enough. It's not enough to support those kinds of things. Now some of the concerts that have been brought here, and look, I'm not going to be, standing on my, I'm not up here on a high horse and whatever, pointing fingers, because there've been plenty of things in Douglas, Georgia that I haven't attended either. So again, not everything is for everybody, but with, 40,000 plus in our county, and then you have the surrounding counties, there's certainly enough interest, or enough people, I should say, to get interest to fill a 600 seat theater. I mean, come on now. I mean, and price, sometimes gets in the way. Now, tickets, I know that there were some, like if you bought VIP or things like that, that were a little bit more expensive. Like I think mine were $40. So $40 for a concert ticket. And I realized that, look, if you're broke, you don't have a lot of money, $40 could be, might as well be 40 million, if you're broke, but for $40 for, I'll say at least half of the population, $40 should be enough for you to go, for a night out. Cause if you go out to dinner, here in town, even if you go to fast food, at night, it's going to be 20.
Yeah.
For 2 people, it's going to be $10 a person if you go to fast food. So, you double that. So again, if you plan it out, things like that. But again, I'm not here to preach on why people should come out. I just wanted to make that point that if you're one of those people who complain all the time about there's never anything to do, well, then when they do bring something, you gotta support it. I mean, you gotta come out. Just a few, maybe a month ago, they brought a Christian rock band to the Martin Center. Now, again, I didn't go. I mean, I didn't go. So I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to point fingers. I'm just bringing up the subject that, there's a lot of people who say they like that kind of music. In fact, I know when I was still working in radio, there were people that said, I really wish you guys had, a real, modern gospel station. Why can't there be a Christian rock station? Why can't there be this? Why can't there be that? Well, then they bring a show, like a Christian rock show. And it failed miserably as far as attendance. I heard the show was very good, as far as critically, the show was very good. The bands, there were 2 of them that the bands were really good, but the turnout was just horrible, So when you do that, when somebody pays money to bring somebody in, they're not doing it for, it's not a charity. I realize that, some people are out to make money. I get it. You don't want to lose money, but you can't just keep, donating money, if you will, to a cause and then not getting the return. You're not getting the return on it. So if you do see something that, that comes, and not just in Douglas either, something in your town, if there's something in your town, whether it be a fair, whether, Smith's favorite, a carnival, and arts and crafts, things like that. What's the thing? What do they call it? Where all the fruits and vegetables, the market, whatever I can't think what they call it.
It's not the farmer's market.
Yeah. Farmer's market. Okay. When there's a farmer's market, things like that. When people set that kind of stuff up, go and support it. If you want that kind of stuff more often, then you got to go support it. I know that our city here in town, they tried First Friday, and it was like a Friday afternoon to Friday night. They did it downtown. They were trying to, just drum up, something to do. They had some businesses locally downtown participate with sales and things like that. A lot of people didn't show up. So, I don't know if they would have quit doing it anyway, but when COVID hit, it gave them the perfect excuse to not bring it back, so again, if there's things in your town, go out and support it. Cause there's a lot of different, variety out there. And so things that you may decide, hey, it's not really my bag, you might be surprised. Because again, last night, I'm still gonna keep talking about JJ Graham Mofro like the whole show, because I mean they're worth it. I mean, truly, they're such a really good band, and again, a variety of music. So if you're a country music fan, you would have enjoyed last night's show. Truly, I mean, you would have enjoyed it. If you're a blues fan, last night you would have enjoyed that show. If you're a rock fan, you would have enjoyed that show. I mean, they really covered a lot of ground, and again, just a well put together show with lights and sound and all that kind of stuff. So just a really, really good show. So check out JJ Gray's Brighter Days. That's the classic rock revisit. Maybe, have a Sam Adams Beach Session IPA to go along with it. Play it out by the pool if you want, or play it inside with the air conditioning like I do. But either way, I mean, it's really, really going to be a good time. So let's go to some of the comments. Smith, let's roll. Read off some of those for me.
Sure thing. Let's see. We got our typical good mornings. Here's a big one.
No, you're going to have to read that one.
Enough to cover Paul up. Sam Adams Oatmeal Stout was the one I had just discovered and was enthusiastically consuming the first time I met the Director of Engineering and Development for the Kennedy Space Center and his wife.
That's cool.
Yeah, this did encourage me to share how I earned the nickname Crazy while operating the subway in Toronto in the late 90s.
Robert Brooker has really lived a cool life.
I know, right?
I mean, he's really done some cool stuff. And the Sam Adams Oatmeal Stout, by the way, you talk about heavy. I mean, it's good. I mean, that's a winter beer for sure. I mean, it is a heavy, thick. But it's good. I mean, it's a really good beer. But yeah, so I'm glad that you discovered that, Robert. There's plenty of Sam Adams. I'm going to keep plugging Sam Adams too, because my brother-in-law works for him. So supporting the family. But there's plenty of different Sam Adams beers out there too. When you buy the beers of summer, summer ale is in there. Lawn chair lager is in there. Porch Rocker that I just talked about a couple weeks ago. Porch Rocker, that's the one that I said was kind of the girly drink.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're not a big fan of beer or you want something lighter, things like that, Porch Rocker, that's your beer for the summer. It's got a little bit of lemon in it. So it's a little, and when I say lemon, it's not tart. It's almost sweet, to be honest. But it's easy drinking. But so is this, like I said, Beach Session IPA. It's got a little pink label, so guys, don't be fooled. It is a good beer. It's not just a girly drink. But Robert, by the way, says perhaps this could be a job for room fill Ryan Anderton. I'm not following. Are you picking up on that?
Oh, okay. I just seen that one. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Robert, if you can help us out on that, maybe we can figure out what that is.
Maybe that's someone whose job is to fill rooms, as in fill venues.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, filling that venue. Okay, that would be some good engagement. This is the first thought in relation to filling that room. What's the message right above that one then?
I went to Shibuya, but only bought a funnel cake. But what a funnel cake it was! I want to go to Shibuya.
Maybe we should just have a funnel cake fest, funnel cake fest in Douglas, Georgia, and have all the people come out and try the different funnel cakes. By the way, I did tell Billy that I would do this. I wanted to make sure that, hey, I want to plug the book.
Hey.
I haven't done this in a while, so I'm going to make sure that I do this. It's the art. Look at that.
I thought that'd be funny.
Kind of hides behind. And there it is. There's the book. And way over here over the side, there's the book. Anyway, you can find out more about the book, The Art of Text Message Selling, that Billy wrote. I think it's been 3.5 years now, something like that. Does he have a date on this thing? I wonder if there's a publishing date on here. But anyway, Billy wrote this book. We use it every day in our business. The Art of Text Message Selling. If you are in sales of any kind, this is absolutely the book that you want. It will increase your sales. It will help you with your customer service. So if you've got a business, whether it's, we deal obviously with Billy Merritt Marketing. We work with car dealers quite a bit. But like I said, we've had other businesses that have used the Art of Text Message with all the lights, the glare. It's kind of hard to see, I guess. But the Art of Text Message Selling that use this, and it works. So you can get yours on Amazon. And look at Smith. Look at there. Look at him with the link already. So right there in the comments, he's got the link. You can buy it on Amazon. Whoops, I'm hitting the microphone. I better relax with that thing. This thing is like, if you touch it, it's like it flies up here or it goes down here. So we got to be real careful with it. But if you buy the book, I'm telling you, you will absolutely love it. It's the 23 Secrets to Dominating Social Selling. So you can learn how to use Facebook and other social media type things. And whether you're selling by text, there's a lot of information in the art of text message selling that works if you're a phone salesperson too. I mean, it really does. Some of the things actually translate. And the reason that it was kind of funny, what does Billy call it? Synchronicity.
Yes.
And when you start talking about something and then like it happens, him and I were talking about this. And he said, hey, throw this in there once in a while in the show because I haven't done it in a while. And oddly enough, I had someone message me this morning wanting to buy a book. So how weird is that? So there it is, that synchronicity thing going on.
I think I just posted a plug for it yesterday morning.
So are you going to take take credit for the sale then?
No, that wasn't the point. I just synchronicity, like you said. God. I had somewhere I was going with that, Paul.
Well, go with it.
I can't remember now. I forgot. What was it?
Smith.
I was going to say, and if you just...
He's already crunk.
If you want a quick dip to see, what there is to offer, we've got, that list of videos on our YouTube channel, Billy W. Merritt.
There you go.
Where you can, get a taste. Just dip your feet in before you buy the book.
Get a taste, dip your toe in, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever
you check it out. And if I remember correctly, unless they've changed it, when you go to Amazon, you can also you can read through a couple pages, for free. They normally do that. They offer like a free, sampler or whatever. You can read just a few pages. Unless they've changed it. Is it on there? I see you're pulling it up now on the screen behind, not behind me, but on his screen, behind the scenes. Can you actually read some of it?
I see that it's free with Kindle Unlimited. The only preview pages are the front and back, unfortunately.
Oh, well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Hey, check it out. It just gave you a preview. A free preview. There's the front cover. There's the back cover. There you go. There's your free preview. By the way, and I'm going to poke fun at Billy a little bit. This back cover, I mean, I know you can't really see it, but the back cover picture, Billy's hair was a lot darker in this picture here.
Yeah.
It's a little more, what do they call it? A little more salt than pepper, now. He's getting a little older, in his age and a little wiser too there. That's kind of that backhanded compliment. So if you want to get your copy of Art of Text Message Selling, again, you can go to Amazon. You can also, they can order it off Billy W. Merritt, correct?
It's BillyMerritt.com.
BillyMerritt.com. So BillyMerritt.com, or you can go to Amazon, you can pick it up. And again, if you're a car dealership or you know somebody who owns a car dealership, who works at a car dealership, they want to sell more cars, give us a call, or you can message us. You can message me, Paul Sullivan. I'm on Facebook, Billy W. Merritt on Facebook. There's all kinds of BillyWMerritt.com. So there's lots of ways you can get in touch with us. So give us a ring, give us a message, give us a shout. Come visit us if you want to. Hey, drive all the way to Douglas, Georgia. And come to our office. We'll be more than happy to show you how we do things and what we can do for you, so we can make you sell more cars. And as our sales manager, Joey Arvidsson, as he puts it, you can sell a month's worth of cars in 1 week. That's what we can help you do. So if that sounds like something you want to do, and if you're in sales, of course you want to sell more. So if that's something that you're interested in, give us a ring, give us a buzz, give us a message. Come by, knock on the front door, whatever you want to do. But make sure that you check us out because we can help you out. So Smith, one of the things at the show last night, that this is definitely an issue when people go to shows. So I'm curious what your take would be on it, and the people that are watching, I'm curious what your takes would be. All right, so like I said, my seats were like $40. Sorry, so you're in the seat. You paid for a seat. It's not a standing room only show.
Right.
You pay for a seat at a show. So is it bad form for you to stand up when you're at the show, when you're at a concert? Is it bad form when you got people behind you? Do you stand up? Do you sit down? If you're seated and somebody stands up in front of you, are you irritated because you paid for the seat? What's your take on that?
I would usually sit down, but I'm also definitely the guy who's usually, in the corner, arms crossed, one foot on the wall, like trying to look like this is on purpose and I'm not just awkward.
Oh, okay.
I'm just cool like that,
Hey, by the way, Robert Brooker said he bought the book on Kindle and admitted to leaving a trail of book purchases on his Amazon account when funds are flowing. So, hey, thanks for the purchase of the book, Robert. And by the way, when you're at a show, so we were talking about, do you stand up? Do you sit down? When you're paying for a seat. So I have to admit, it kind of depends on the show. I mean, I can't give like a definite, definitive, like, no, you must sit down, because I mean, if you're going to see some, rock band and everybody's
Right.
up and screaming and yelling and, and throwing up, horns for,
Yeah.
rock on, all that kind of stuff.
You're not going to sit down and watch Whitechapel.
I mean, it's just, I mean, so you kind of have to expect it when you go to certain shows that it's going to be a stand-up show. And look, I mean, I'll admit, I mean, I'm 54 years old now. I'm not as young as I used to be. So there's plenty of times where I'm like, I wish people would just sit down, you know? So, I mean, I've sat down, I've missed a song or two as far as seeing it. You can hear it. But I've missed a few, songs here and there the last, decade. Just going, you know what, my knees are bothering me or my feet hurt, so you sit down for a few minutes. But yeah, I heard some people in the venue last night. Sit down. I heard that.
I guess my only issue is just the fact that I'm short. Like if you stand up, I'm definitely not going to see anything. Especially, I mean, if you're tall, I might not see anything just with you sitting down.
Well, I mean, that's definitely something too. I think, I mean, I'm 5'8", so I'm not tall by any stretch, of the imagination. But I mean, now there was a guy last night. Now he wasn't in front of me. He was in a section over, but I noticed because he's tall. I mean, he was like really, really tall. If he was shorter than 6'6", I'd be surprised. I mean, this boy he was tall, and then he had a hat on. So then so you add another 2-3 inches. So I mean, this guy is probably 6'8", 6'9", and he's standing up.
Right.
I'm like, dude, the guy behind him didn't have a prayer. Even if he stood up, he could stand on his seat and probably wouldn't have been able to see. So that's a little more, but it's difficult because I mean, is it the guys, who's 6'6", is it his fault that he's 6'6"? Well, no, so he's like, well, I want to stand up. I want to enjoy the show. So that's kind of it's kind of a slippery slope. Kind of depending on, who you go to see. But last night, I will admit I stood up twice. That's it. 2 songs. I mean, I sat down the whole time. There were a couple rows in front of me that were seated, so I could see over them. And then there were 2 people, that I could kind of see, how you look through people, like in between people.
Yeah.
So you see a little bit of crack, so you're kind of just shifting your head and moving around, doing that kind of stuff. So I did that. But I mean, again, the show was just great. So the people standing, of course it irritates some people. In fact, one lady that I know her, we had aisle seats. I was right there on the aisle and she was leaving the show. And it was like probably halfway through JJ Gray. And it was leaving. So, and I realized some people got to work in the morning, early and things like that. So they had to leave, earlier than maybe they wanted to. Because again, he played till about 20 after 11. But when she was, I thought it was because of the time. Like, oh, she must have to work tomorrow, And so she kind of leaned in and she goes, well, all I can see is 3 people's butts. So, we're just going to go home and call it a day, So that's kind of that's disappointing. If you pay the money, and then, you're seated and then all you're doing, all you can see is, somebody's backside, right in front of you. That's pretty annoying, to do that. So I
don't know if this is an apt comparison, but like you would never stand up in a movie theater, right?
It's actually a good point. I mean, yeah, people don't do that.
Right.
I mean, so, I mean, I get it, again, like, I stand up for a lot of shows, when I go to certain shows, but a lot of it's based on the audience. If a lot of people are standing up and you want to see, well, you got to stand up.
A lot to do with the type of venue. I mean, there are plenty of venues you would go to where you're sort of meant to stand and dance and all this stuff.
Well, that's why I said, like, if you're in the pit, like down front, or you go to, a bar, that, I mean, you're going to be standing most likely. Right. So, or like sometimes they'll say it's a standing room only show. I mean, there are no seats, so that going in. But if you pay money for a seat and then you really can't see anything, it gets to be, a little bit annoying for people. What would be a show that you would consider? And I'm setting myself up for failure here because I know Smith's going to give me this oddball weirdo answer, but I'm going to throw it at him anyway. So here's the pitch. Are you ready? Okay. What is a show that you would expect to remain seated the whole time?
Show where I would expect to remain seated. Well, if I was going to watch someone like Carbon-Based Life Forms, one of these like psychedelic ambient bands where it's almost basically sleep music, I would I wouldn't really expect to be jumping around. I mean, I might even lie down. Who knows?
Well, folks, there you go. I told you he was going to give me some oddball weirdo answer, and there it was.
No, this is fun. I can't remember which artist it is who does this, but they have these like procedural ambient concerts with no seats. They just like ask people to bring like what is it your grandma makes you to sleep in when you go over? Like you bring a cover and a sheet and a pillow, and they just have like these 8-hour concerts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where he plays these little ambient loops, and every once in a while he'll turn off this instrument and add a new element. You know, maybe turn off the rain and turn on the snow, change the lead to a new melody. And you know, like every other hour, he'll go take a break while his procedural thing continues doing its thing.
There it is. Smith just hit a home run. He knocked it out of the park, as bizarre as you can get. And that baby's gone. It's out of the park. Way to go, Smith.
I just wish I could remember the name. I'll have to find that later.
By the way, my mom said just a couple minutes before your bizarro rant, she said we were cutting out and then froze.
Oh,
So
no.
you know what I always like to do, like especially when I'm doing like live, so like if I'm doing FaceTime on my mom, I'll do
Right.
that sometimes. I'll mess with her. So
Mhm.
like if we're doing the we're doing the podcast, she'll be like
Right. Oh God, that's convincing.
it just cracks me up. And they're like, "Are you still there? Are you still there?" And you just sit
Yeah.
there. You know, you don't move.
My friend Rain, I can't really do this with the headphones on the hat, but he would take his phone when he was on the phone with someone, and he would speak into it, and then he would rub it against his hair, and then he would speak into it and rub it against his hair.
That's somebody you don't want to talk to. That's an
Exactly.
easy way to get off the phone. Hey, one other thing too that about last night, and again, I'm not complaining about last night at all. In fact, I'm raving about it. How great the show was and how much I enjoyed going back to live music. And you know, again, thanks to all those people that made the show happen. But there was a time, you know, that every show has kind of an ebb and flow, you know, kind of, you know, it'll rock for a while, then they're going to play a ballad, you know, they're going to kind of bring it down a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
things like that. And a good artist or a good band knows how to work that, you know, that knows how to work and move the tempo around and, you know, stuff like that.
Same thing with a comedy show.
Yeah,
funny enough.
no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so last night he played a ballad, or I mean, I wouldn't even say it was a true ballad in the sense, in the sense of the form of a ballad. It wasn't just this slow ballad. It wasn't a slow song. It was a kind of a strip down where he was talking a little bit. You know how like they'll hit a break, you know, and they'll just have like music playing in the background, you know, and then they speak a little bit. So he was doing that like kind of in the middle of a song. And started to get, you know, a little, I guess, you know, deep, I guess if you want to call it that, you know, serious or whatever. And it was really hard to hear him because there was so many people talking. That was really annoying.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, you're like, come on, man, go out in the lobby or, you know, go out front or whatever, you know, if you want to talk. I mean, like, that's fine if you got you know, one sentence, you know, hey, wasn't that cool? Or, you know, something like that. Or, hey, oh, I love this song, whatever, you know, things like that. But like, there are people having full blown conversations. Like they're just talking the whole time, you know? So that was a bit annoying, and pretty inconsiderate, to be honest. And I was wondered I mean, and maybe you can answer this, Smith. I know, you know, you played in bands, and I realized, you know, the type of music that you said that you played back in the day, it wasn't, you know, slow ballad music, things like that. But at the same time, you can kind of use, you know, disrespect, I guess, in general, disrespect from an audience. Isn't that tough from an artist perspective?
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, you're people don't really think about it, maybe, but you're always looking out and trying to, you know, feed off the vibe of the crowd.
Yeah.
See what are they enjoying? You know, what are the moments that really get them? Because I mean, that feedback loop is really important.
Well, and in fact, that's what you started off with, you know, at the beginning of the show, talking about that, you know, that how the artist relates and how they feed off of the, you know, off the audience. So, I mean, if the audience is, you know, they have their back turned, you know, they're not paying attention to you, or they're talking, you know, it's hard to hear yourself over their, you know, chatter and noise and all that kind of stuff. It's got to be, at least, if nothing, I mean, to put it politely, it's got to be, if nothing else, distracting, you know, from an artist perspective. But I think it's also got to be a little bit deflating too, you know, when you just feel like, man, they're just not responding. They're not paying attention. They'd rather talk, you know, than hear me play. But to close out the show, what JJ Gray did, I mean, it was just, I mean, really cool. I mean, a very, very, very strong song. I went with a buddy of mine, Jerome, who, by the way, we had a great time too. I hadn't seen Jerome in a while, so when we went to the show, we caught up too. So, hey, peace to Jerome. We had a good time. But him and I were talking before the show, about how long it's been since we've been to see live bands and stuff like that. But I said to him, they played a song called "Old Glory," and the live version, the recorded version is a good song. I mean, it's a good song, but the live version, I leaned over to him, and when it got done, when it was over, I said, wow, that felt like I was in church. I mean, it was really that moving, I mean, it was very deep and just kind of, inspirational, spiritual, whatever word, you want to use.
What you mentioned about that slowdown thing with just like the music in the background and talking, that really reminded me of like these worship pads thing that they'll do in the middle of, like contemporary gospel concerts sometimes, where they'll have the synth pad playing, really pretty ambient chords while they're speaking. It's a little cool thing. I dig it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very, very moving performance. I mean, of that song. And it was a longer song. I mean, it was probably, if I had to guess, I mean, I didn't sit there with a stopwatch, but I would get, it's probably 6 or 7 minutes. So I mean, it was a longer tune, but just really powerful. And, he got the audience involved, singing just a little bit, again, not like, here, you sing, you guys can pay to hear, for you guys to sing. But he got the audience to participate a little bit on it, and just a really strong song. And that's what made that show so fantastic, was just the different types, the different styles. So I would classify that song, that felt like a gospel song. I mean, it really did. It had that feel to it. So, I mean, again, gospel, country, rock, jazz, blues. I mean, they covered quite. Now they didn't do, what'd you call it? Something ambient, whatever crap.
Psychedelic ambient.
Yeah. So they didn't cover Smith's, type of music, well, there it is. Yeah, they ruined it. I mean, he would have never, Sean would have not, Smith would have definitely not liked the show now, because it didn't have the psychedelic ambient synth pad in the middle of a song thing, or whatever he said it was.
That there are like 200 or 300 of these subgenres. It is insane.
Well, the 5 or 6 of the quote unquote regular or normal or whatever you want to call it, they hit them all. I mean, they checked all the boxes, and they put on a really, really, really good show. So again, congratulations to the city of Douglas, the Martin Center Preservation Society, putting on the great show. It was so much fun to go and really hear some good live music again. So it was really impressive. So thanks again to Brian Norris and William Minkema and all those people that brought the show together, JJ Gray and his staff. And again, a shout out to local boy Eric Brigman, who was in the band, JJ Gray and Mofro, playing keyboards. Again, he had a chance to kind of spotlight, his talents. He played the trombone too. He picked up the trombone and played that too. So a very talented group of guys. Get a chance, go see JJ Gray and Mofro. Definitely go check out the Classic Rock Revisit. You don't even have to buy it. I mean, you can pull it up on YouTube. Make sure that you search for JJ Gray's Brighter Days. I mean, it's just a really good stuff. So, hey, it's the 4th of July. We're about ready to wrap up the show, but it's the 4th of July. Got any big plans, Smith? You going to do as much as you did on Father's Day?
It's going to be what I've been doing lately. A lot of this, the usual same, plus reorganizing, like trying to create a better work environment at home. And
so in other words, nothing special.
And lots of drawing. It's just Smith stuff,
And he feels crazy. He's going to like make some ramen soup, some ramen, whatever he does with the ramen noodles and, some fancy ramen noodle stuff. And then if he's really wild, he's going to go buy some crunk.
That's right. Man, I wish I could find some again.
Blueberry crunk. Is that what it was? Blueberry flavor?
Blueberry pomegranate, I believe it was.
Blueberry pomegranate crunk. If you can help Smith find some of that, he will be forever in debt.
I sure will.
I don't know about that, but he'll appreciate it. Put it that way. So in the meantime, have yourself a great 4th of July. I did not, and I'm not going to. I'm going to bring it up just for 5 seconds, and we'll let everybody else kind of make up their own mind. But the Olympian, the girl who turned her back when they played the national anthem. Wow. That's all I'm gonna. I'm like I said, I'm not even gonna open up that can of worms. I'll just use the word ridiculous and I'll leave it at that. Have a great 4th of July holiday. Remember, if you're gonna be drinking this weekend or anytime, make sure that you're not driving. If you are gonna be drinking, you might want to pick up Sam Adams Beach Session IPA. It's in the Beers of Summer 12-pack. Go enjoy yourself. Have some great fun with family and friends, and appreciate our country. We really do have the best country in the world. I know we got issues. I know we got problems. I know we're not perfect. But think about it. What other country would you rather be in? Would you rather be in another country?
Nah.
See, I mean, I know Australia's gorgeous. It'd be so cool to visit. I'd love to visit Ireland. I'd love to visit a lot of places, but I'd only love to live in the United States. So thank you guys for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday. Peace.